mentioned that. So healing stress in the past, a lot of it is just really that whole letting go thing. And what is letting go? Like on a deepest level, what is letting go? When I started learning these sorts of healing modalities 10 years ago, I noticed some people go into some really serious memories in their regression. Really shockingly full-on things. And you're like, whoa, that's serious, that's why you are the way you are in prison. And when someone's brave enough and ready enough to go into these negative memories, something really profound happens. When they focus on the emotions and on the event, and they do the breath work of letting it all go, they just go, ah. So this person, say they're in a battle or something like that, they're in some huge trauma, it's like full on, and then they go, let's go. And I was 20, I was like, that's interesting. And then I don't understand how it worked, I was seeing it working. And then, okay, visualize something better. Oh, I'm at home and I'm baking cookies and everything's amazing and it's sunny. How does it make you feel? Oh, really good. You feel safe. You feel great. How does your body feel? Great. Because in your mind you're thinking, wow, you're not in the battle anymore. This is pretty sweet. And they're like, oh, it's great. So they've gone from mega trauma revisualization. Again, the body doesn't know the difference between the visualization and the actual trauma. Then to 0.0. Then to like baking cookies in the sunshine. And then it's like literally a minute later, they're just like, la. And then they come out of the reversion and they're like, woo! And then you could ask them a week later, oh, how's the stress and anxiety level in your life? And they're like, what do you mean? They don't really even remember the old them, the old reality, because you've changed it in the past. Again, we'll get into this more deep next time. The past is a wave of possibilities. Their body, on a nervous system level, on a fractal memory level, has chosen a new past. Anyone can, you can do this all the time to yourself. That's just what letting go seems to be. But in the quantum physics realm, it essentially is just taking a new timeline for your nervous system, especially the subconscious responses.
This one.
Hello.
Sorry. Like when you did the regression with me, I couldn't remember what the trauma was. I still don't know what it was. How do you do that for yourself if you can't remember what it is? If there's something in your past that's causing you stress, but you don't know what it is, how do you deal with that?
That's a good question. So what happened with you was we had a kind of an idea, all right? And I muscle tested on your arm, okay, using kinesiology, which is linking to the synaptic response in your brain, electricity, which is linking up to the intention of talking to your body, consciousness, or spirit. Your muscle testing indicated age 5, all right? So when you go to a memory, all the emotions and the body consciousness of the event comes up. We externalize that, as opposed to going deep into what the memory is going, what's happening. Like going into really what's happening. Some people, yes, we can go there, what's happening, and it's okay, and we can let go of it. I made a call with you that going into the exact mechanics of the memory was not beneficial to your current lifestyle, right? To more go into the body consciousness of the memory, the emotions of the memory, and externalize that, and then recreate it positively. Actually knowing what it is more going to gratify more than anything, your ego or your curiosity, which are both really negligible concepts when it comes to your healing process, because now you're feeling better, right? Let's say if someone had something negative happen in their family, which is going to change the perception of how they think about someone they know still in present day, again, it might change. That might be a good idea not to know, what someone might have done to someone, So it's like that. So if we don't know where a trauma came from, this is when you can start to explore this whole reality of altered states of consciousness. All right, altered states of consciousness. There's many different ways to go there. There's many different practices all over the planet, many different healing modalities, and many different plant teachers that you can use to start to access memories that are not in our conscious knowing. So there's so many different avenues. Sometimes just thinking, I want to find out what's making me anxious, What's making me feel stressful? And then just by saying that to the universe, it's just going to create the alignment, and someone's going to pop up into your life and go, hey, we're doing a darkness retreat next week. Do you want to come? And you might have an experience in the darkness retreat where you're going to go through that. Someone might be like, hey, we're going to a Vipassana. Someone might be like, hey, read this book. And it might be about darkness retreats. When you put out to the universe that you want something to happen, you're going to create a cascade of events. So if something's going to happen, it's going to lead to something, it's going to lead to something, it's going to lead to something. And it's very beautiful to witness these cascades of events and go, oh, thanks, yeah, sweet, wicked. You might just think, I want to know about, fly fishing. And someone might be like, hey man, do you want to borrow my fly fishing book? And it's how to make all those cool things. And like that could happen in 30 minutes. And you'd be like, thank you. That's good to thank the spirit and thank the universe and just kind of put that gratitude out there. Not just gratitude for yourself for being a boss and thinking about it, but thanking the whole big picture. And going, yeah, sweet, cool. Because we're totally the masters of it. But we're all working with each other and we're creating the universe. Good question though. Yeah, it says. That's a really tricky one, especially when you're dealing with people who have missing time. Yeah? Especially when you have situations of emotional psychosis or drug psychosis. These are events where basically the body goes into a complete shutdown of where if you become so emotional you almost kind of black out in a way, or you become so high on drugs that you black out in a way. But you might actually still be conscious or up and about walking around. And there's certain drugs that do this more than others, but the most common and dangerous drugs are mainstream pharmaceutical sedatives, like things like Ambien. If you kind of get bored one night, look up some of the case studies of what people have been caught doing while they're on Ambien. Here's a good one. Rugby World Cup New Zealand a couple of years ago. 2 All Blacks were in the hotel room. They got a game the next day, I think. And they played a really silly game. They're like, let's have some sleeping pills and see who can stay up later. Right? So they had these sleeping pills and they're like, we want to stay up longer, let's have Red Bulls. They're drinking Red Bull and they had sleep pills. Right? At some point during that process, they thought they went to bed. They both thought they went to bed. A part of their conscious mind switched off, checked out, from the sleeping medication. It just essentially turned off a part of their brain. They actually went out drinking. They went on to a whole bunch of pubs and clubs all night. And somehow they got home and got into bed. And then they woke up in the morning together, in the same hotel. And they kind of woke up and go on Facebook and there's just photos of them with different people at all these pubs. And in all the photos they looked a bit lost, And apparently having conversations with people like, I don't know where I am or who I am. They had no recollection of the entire night because they woke up in bed. They didn't believe that it happened. And this is another thing, there's an interesting thing that happened in Melbourne that brought more and more attention to this was a man who took a sleeping medication and then just woke up at some point during the night and just killed his wife. And then the daughter came out of her bedroom and he just walked down the hallway covered in blood, just didn't even notice her. He wasn't even in his body. He doesn't even know what happened. He doesn't remember any of it. So weird stuff happens when you go into a drug or an emotional psychosis. And it's...
How can you tell if you've been in an emotional psychosis?
Awful example, but let's say that it's a very common example. THC is the day break drug, okay? And that's what basically can turn off. I think it's a similar chemical to the drug they give you when they do certain procedures where they don't want to knock you out, but they want you to not remember the procedure because it's not very nice, okay? So you're conscious and say, they're like, the procedure's horrible, but they know you're not going to remember it, so they're like, it's okay, right? But you might not be horrible procedure, right? So with a drug like that, a day rate drug, is when a woman's body gets damaged in that way, it's going to change your nervous system through the vagina-brain connection. So a really good example is the girl who got raped by the swimmer recently in the United States, and it was in the newspapers that she was unconscious behind a dumpster and she got raped by the guy. It's really interesting. She read a huge story to the judge in court about that. She's basically, her nervous system, everything like this, she's a real mess, yeah, at the moment. But she doesn't remember the event, okay? And the whole issue there with the misogyny in that story is that they put the story up about it in the papers, but they were talking about his swimming times. and how he had a great career and a great future. They weren't talking about what happened to her. They're talking about the unfortunate kind of misunderstanding that, you know, he was saying she consented and all this sort of thing. They're just talking about him, right? Whereas she can't sleep properly or anything like that. Her nervous system through the trauma is completely compromised, which is all healable, but she doesn't remember the event. There's an example. It's not a nice example, but when the nervous system gets altered in such a way, and she knows she didn't used to be like that. She only knows what happened because some Swedish guys saw it happening and went and pulled the guy off her. You know, and were like, that's what happened. She woke up in hospital and didn't know what happened, and slowly worked out what happened. You know, it's really, really far out. So again, no memory. However, through regression and hypnosis, you can put someone into that memory because the memory is available in the body, not in the conscious mind. The conscious mind, the way we're all interacting right now, is called like a beta brainwave. The alpha brainwave, or the dream state, or the kind of hypnotic state, or what you'd call like daydreaming and dreaming, is what the state of consciousness you're going to, but all those information and all those memories are available. It's an altered state of consciousness. And let's say, for example, she was daydreaming one day and she might get a flashback of the actual event. That's when that non-local awareness comes through. So that's an example, and that's very common. That sort of thing. And really, it's tough. It's tough stuff. It's really sad because the mainstream medical model doesn't really look at the issue, whereas the mainstream medical model will just give her medication to disassociate her from the reality of the event. We'll talk just a little bit about the placebo effect. The placebo effect, placebo means to please you in Latin. Okay? So the placebo effect is completely nothing to do with really about anything you're putting in the body. It's entirely this realm of energy. So, placebo effect is basically, let's say everyone in this room has Great Siberian itch or something like that, some weird kind of disease, and half of you, I give you the cure. It's in a pill, and I give it to you. And the other half, I don't actually give you the cure, but I tell you I am. I give you all these pills and they all look the same. Right? Placebo effect is basically the people who get the pill, they're going to get better if the pill's good. And the people who don't get the pill, they just get like a sugar pill, a lot of them will get better too. Because they think they're getting the pill. So the body's just going, whoop, okay, we're healing. Great. It means to please you. So it's basically this whole energy of telling the body that we're getting better now. Here's the solution. Okay? So when we tell our body to be healthy, it gets healthy. It's really, really cool. There's also a thing called the nocebo effect, where if you tell your body you're sick, then it'll get sick. Your body there's not really much right or wrong around that kind of realm, you know. So it's an amazing, amazing thing. And a lot of medications that we have in our society actually don't even pass the placebo effect. And that means that, say, like a psychiatric medication, if the placebo group does just as well by a certain percentage as the group that's actually getting the medication isn't really justified, because it means that just telling people they're going to get better is going to make them better. A lot of research into prostate cancer is really interesting, where you'll get a large group of people and you'll give half the medication. Prostate cancer is great because it's very slow growing, and you can do these sorts of experiments. You can give a large group the medication, and you can give a large group meditation exercises and this sort of thing. And often the meditation exercises and working on these emotions, they're going to do better than the drugs. So it's an amazing access to look at some of the studies. Again, this is very analytical, very masculine, looking at the scientific method and going, oh, cool, okay, that must be real. And looking at the information and realizing we can heal ourselves in that way by changing